The door closes, and the noisy world outside disappears. Inside this workshop, there is no cheering, no glorious moment. Everything here happens in silence, and that silence becomes the foundation of trust.
Here, time moves slower than the world outside. No one runs. No one rushes.
Not because of doubt, but because luck is not allowed here. They do not build it to look futuristic. They build trust.
Trust that every possibility has been considered, even the moment when things may stop.
Some work will never be seen in the sky, but without it, the flight would never begin. Here, people do not try to do great things. They try not to make mistakes. This workshop does not create spectacle. It protects life before the future takes off. There is no roaring engine, no stage lights, and no moment demanding attention. Only a quiet workshop where metal frames rest under cold white light.
Here, no one talks about how high it will fly or how fast it will go.
They assemble each part in silence, preparing for something important, without needing to announce it. Because not every future begins with noise. Inside the workshop, everything moves slowly, not from lack of urgency, but because every detail carries life.
The challenge is not making it rise into the sky, but making it safe enough to come down.
If failure happens, the system must descend slowly, give time to humans, and protect life before technology.
In this workshop, they do not chase a glamorous future. They assemble the future with patience. This is where flying cars are assembled, not in applause, but in a silence strong enough to protect humans when they leave the ground. The world does not lack roads, yet people still arrive too late.
Late because of traffic, late because of floods, late because the ground has limits we cannot cross.
We once believed the solution was faster, stronger, and bigger.
But perhaps the problem was never about speed.
There are moments when humans do not need to move faster, but need to move in a different direction.
And that is when the idea of flying cars appears. Not to impress, but to arrive in time.
Flying cars are not made to replace every vehicle, but to appear when every road is closed.
They run on clean energy, safe for anyone to use, and place human life above performance. The world does not change because of new technology, but because technology is placed where it truly belongs. The future is not about flying higher than others, but about no one being left behind simply because the ground cannot move forward. People often think the future arrives with noise, but not here.
Here, no one talks about how fast it can fly or who will reach the sky first.
The greatest challenge is not taking off, but landing safely. It must give time back to people and prioritize life over performance. Here, precision matters more than speed, and silence matters more than promotion. People often think great revolutions begin with noise.
But the next transportation revolution does not begin that way.
No grand launches, no long runways, only quiet spaces.
For hundreds of years, humanity has been bound to the ground and still remains trapped.
The problem was never speed, but direction. Flying cars were not created to replace everything, but to appear when every road is closed.
This revolution does not begin with takeoff, but with a human question. What happens when something goes wrong?
Slow descent, giving time to people, placing life above performance.
This is not a loud science fiction dream, but a silent shift.
A better future does not begin with spectacle, but with responsibility. The future does not need to arrive loudly. What matters is how well we prepare before leaving the ground.
When we see flying cars in movies, we are often drawn to their perfect appearance.
But if that outer shell disappears, what actually remains?
Behind the futuristic surface is not magic, but a silent skeleton. No giant wings, no roaring sound, no display of power.
The real question is not how high or how fast it flies, but what holds it together when things go wrong.
What if power is lost? What if lift systems stop? What if it must descend in the middle of a city?
A flying car cannot take off first and think about landing later. It must know how to descend safely from the very beginning.
This skeleton is not designed to look beautiful, but to make sure no one inside ever panics.
That is the line between an idea that can fly.
The future of flying cars is not built on spectacle, but on silent skeletons that few ever see.
No wings, no exposed propellers, no familiar aircraft shape.
The question is no longer what it looks like, but how it truly works.
Instead of wings, lift is generated from systems embedded within the vehicle body.
The movement is controlled gentle and can stop at any moment.
In failure scenarios, the system prioritizes balance and slow descent instead of free fall.
The true breakthrough is not flight itself, but how human life is protected.
This is not a loud technological shock, but a new, responsible direction for future transportation.
When people hear about flying cars, their first instinct is wings and noise. We are conditioned to believe that flight always requires wings. But here, a completely different approach quietly appears.
When people hear about the future, they often think of something very far away. Technologies that do not yet exist. Machines that live only in imagination.
But inside a quiet laboratory, there is no stage and no show.
A female engineer checks the safety parameters a male engineer observes in silence.
In front of them, a future flying car. No wings, no familiar aircraft shape.
In this laboratory, no one asks how fast it can fly, only what happens if something goes wrong.
This flying car is not designed to perform, but to remain calm.
When it needs to stop, it stops. And when it needs to descend, it descends slowly, giving time to humans.
No one applauds because this is not a performance, it is responsibility.
A technology truly belongs to the future only when it puts humans first, and that is why the future has already begun.
There is no noise. There is no rush. Here, everything moves slower than the world outside.
In a world that keeps moving faster, they choose to slow down to build the future.
A flying car does not begin with boldness. It begins with the most careful questions.
Not to fly faster, but to land more safely when something goes wrong.
Here, every component is treated as if it were part of a living system.
No one asks how fast it will be finished. They ask only one thing.
Is it safe enough?
Because the real question is not whether it can fly, but whether people can return safely.
When it is finished, there is no applause, only silent nods.
The things that truly matter are never rushed.
The future is not built with speed, but with responsibility and patience. Next in the playlist,
The research workshop opens while the city is still asleep. No test engine noise, no alarms, no loud sounds.
Inside the place where future flying vehicles are created, silence is not emptiness. It is the rhythm of work.
The problem of a future flying car is not whether it can fly. It is whether it can be trusted when it does.
Every detail is checked repeatedly. A small mistake may make no sound, but it can create risk.
Here, decisions are not made by emotion. Everything must be confirmed by numbers.
No one rushes. No one works faster than necessary. Because safety does not accept haste.
Silence exists so the system can be heard, listening to vibrations, listening to machine rhythm, listening to signals that noise would hide. The solution is not working faster. It is working slowly enough to miss nothing.
When a future flying car leaves the ground, people only see the moment it rises. Few see the long, silent days inside the workshop.
If the future is meant to carry humans into the air, it must be built with silence and responsibility.
The research workshop begins its day while the sky is still dim. No test engine noise.
Among the silent future flying car bodies, every small detail reflects the light, as if waiting to be verified, and a question emerges.
the challenge of a future flying car is not its design or its ability to fly. It lies in human safety.
Every action is deliberate and repeatedly checked. A small deviation can affect the entire system.
The male engineer does not react hastily. He quietly compares every number, because decisions here are never allowed to rely on emotion.
She inspects every component as if it were the most critical part of the entire machine.
Silence is not the absence of communication. It exists so the smallest deviations can be detected, an unusual vibration, an unstable parameter.
The solution is not to work faster to meet deadlines. The solution is to do every step correctly, even when it requires time and effort.
When a future flying car finally leaves the ground, people only see the moment of takeoff. Few ever see the hundreds of focused hours inside the workshop.
There is no applause, no grand declarations, only a simple truth. The research facility begins its day while the city is still asleep. No engine tests.
Under gentle white lights, the future flying cars stand still, as if waiting for a final inspection.
Many believe a future flying car is born from a single breakthrough moment. But in this workshop, no one believes in sudden appearance.
The real issue is not how high or how fast it can fly. It is whether people are willing to place their lives into this machine.
Every movement is deliberate. Every step is checked again. There is no place for haste. The engineer studies the sensor data. He speaks little. Every decision must be proven by numbers, not confidence.
She moves along the line, stopping at each quality station, knowing that a detail ignored today can become tomorrow's risk.
They remain silent to hear vibrations, machine rhythms, and signals noise would hide. The solution—
When a future flying car finally lifts off, people only see the moment of flight. They never see the long, silent days inside this workshop.
No applause. No grand declaration. A future flying car does not arrive. It is carefully